Program Manager here at Trent Global College. So for Trent Global College, we are a private college specializing in building, tech and food tech related courses. So we do diplomas, degrees, masters for all these three industries. So for our building side, we have over 3,000 graduates currently in Singapore in various top companies like Wohab and Sabana Jurong. For our tech courses, we are mainly under the government's TIPP scheme, where we help individuals transit and find meaningful jobs inside the tech industry. So our graduates can be found in companies like DBS, IBM and NCS. But for today, I'm mainly here to talk about the food technology diploma that we have and how that can help individuals like yourself who are thinking about venturing into an F&B business, or probably you want to transition into the F&B industry, how our diploma can help equip you with the right knowledge to do so. So the important thing about our diploma is that it not only equips you with knowledge like food processing technology and also probably the marketing principles that are unique to the F&B industry, but it also gives you a 6-month industry placement at companies where you can learn best practices from top restaurants or top F&B brands as well, where you can get this first-hand knowledge from the professionals and then apply it into your own business or probably your own career that you're going to start in the F&B industry. So without further ado, I'll hand over the time to Tim, one of our lecturers at the Food Tech Diploma, who will deep dive into this course. Over to you, Tim.
Hawkerpreneurship. Now this word hawkerpreneurship, well, if you look in the Singapore context, it's quite unique, right? Why hawkers are people who hawk their wares, right? And what do they hawk? They hawk what their specialties are. Now, we've had hawkers for a long time already, decades actually. And so if you want to compete with these hawkers, you better be good. So what do I mean by good? You need to know your stuff. You need to be different. You need to be unique. I think that's the first requirement of actually going into a business that can be misconstrued as something that is very thankless, right? Long hours, hard work. So how then do you get a competitive edge, okay, when you want to do something like this? Right? You need passion. First of all, you need passion. Without passion, it's very difficult to carry on. So the other thing you also need is also the skills. You also need the knowledge. Now, what does that mean? Are you going to be competing with a hawker that's been selling wonton noodles for the past 30 years? So how do you then compete with hawkers who's been hawking their trade for 30 years? The wonton noodle seller, for example. You're not going to compete based on technique or taste. So how then do you compete? You have to start innovating. In order to innovate, whether service concept, food concept, or even your menu, for example, you need to have knowledge. What kind of knowledge? You need to have knowledge of food. Yeah. So food is a very specialized topic. Okay, you need to know balance. You need to know flavor combinations. But more importantly nowadays, because of the focus on nutrition, focus on healthy eating, you also need to know what constitutes healthy food, right? And this is where the knowledge is very important. You need to know how food can be processed. You need to know nutritional and dietary requirements in order to package something that could compete, for example, with the traditional hawkers. And that's why you see a lot of youngsters going in and putting their stamp on the kind of food that they sell, right? So they innovate based on their experiences at home with their family, and they try to change, okay, what they've been eating for years growing up with mom's cooking and everything. However, you could do it better if you have knowledge. You have knowledge of how food can be processed, In order to provide the best possible nutrients, you need to know about food sciences as well. You need to know about flavor combinations, and this is why it's so important not to go into it just blindly and think that, oh, okay, I have passion, I have drive, and what I'll do is I'll just start up, right? This is where a lot of hawkers tend to get disillusioned after a while because things are not going their way. They can't compete with the people surrounding them, right? And this is where they will tend to fail. So to increase your chances to succeed, what you should be looking at is how you can do your business differently. Okay, so let me give you a very good example. A very good friend of mine actually started off in a coffee shop. So he loves food, he loves cooking. And what he did was, he actually rented a stall in a coffee shop and he started to sell Western food, right? But he had his special take on his Western food. Everything that he made, or his sauces especially, his sauces for his pasta dish and everything was made from trial and error experimentation, right? So it took him very, very long to actually come up with a good formula. And after being in that coffee shop for a little while, there were some issues with the landlord and he had to move. And when he moved, he decided, hey, why don't I open up, let's say, a restaurant? And he got a nice restaurant space. And he did pretty well. However, when business took a turn for the worse and things became a bit slow, he thought to himself, you know, what else can I do? People love my sauces, right? So what do I do? Hey, why don't I sell it at the farmer's market? And at that time, the farmer's market was at Turf City, right? It's called Pasar Bella. So what he did was he started to bottle his sauces. Now, bottling of sauces is a form of food processing. In order to bottle it, you must have preservatives in there. If not, it can't last. The shelf life will be very, very short. So, you know what? He did some research and he managed to find a solution to extending the shelf life. And he did pretty well. He started to sell his sauce there. Not only did not only did the sauces sell very well, people started to take notice of him and go to his restaurant. So basically what he's done for himself is to create opportunities for himself by processing part of his recipe and selling it, right? Today he's got a well-established restaurant. I think this is about probably 10 years already. And he's well-established at Novena, right? Now he's done very, very well for himself. Now in order, the 10 years that he has had was a struggle, right? I wouldn't say because he didn't have food knowledge. He did. However, he didn't have enough, right? Now, what I'm saying is this. If you had the skills, if you had the knowledge, and if you could put that all together, the learning curve would be much shorter and you could create your own stamp, right? And compete at a different level with the traditional hawkers. And I think that's the way to go. So this is why we want to help you. We want to help you look into getting that knowledge, acquiring that knowledge on food technology. What kind of technology you could use to create your food, right? We want to talk to you about the different processing methods, how to process, what is the best process to actually get the best flavor or extending shelf lives, okay, of your food, right? And this is where I feel that you would benefit a lot, okay? Let's say if you take a diploma or an advanced diploma, okay, on food technologies, for example, which is offered by Trent, by the way. And this is where you would actually get enough knowledge so that you can innovate. And that's important, right? How do you innovate if you don't have the knowledge? So we want to give that to you. So think about, before you embark on your endeavor, think about how you want to go about it. What do you take away from this course, right? If you are looking for something that's practical, if you're looking for something that is relatable, something that is up to date. Okay, this course actually brings you through a journey from yesteryears till today. What's been done, how it's been done, and how it can be done today. So that is the whole takeaway from this course, right? Food processing methods, for example. How do you get oil from the soya bean, for example? What kind of methods do you use, right? If you want to use the traditional method, well, it might take days and days to do it. But with technology, what kind of technology can we use to extract the oil, for example, from a soya bean? So another example, okay, would be another friend, for example. So they wanted to make their own rice cakes. Why? Because if you buy your rice cakes from outside, okay, it's going to taste the same as everyone else's. So what they did was they decided to make their own rice cakes. And making your rice cakes requires knowledge of food processing, right? And this is where the value comes in. When you come to Trent, you are going to learn about what the different methods are, what they're used for, how they can be used, right? And this is the whole takeaway from it, right? And you can create your own rice cakes, for example, and it's not that difficult. Okay, so leveraging on technology. Now, there are different technologies available. So let's talk about one. There's this particular guy who sells fried rice. It's definitely a hawker food, right? Yeah. So what he uses basically is a churner. A churner. Now, how do you use a churner to actually cook rice? So what's happened is that obviously the rice is already cooked. He puts the rice into the churner and he starts to churn. And then he starts adding ingredients and everything. Now, the whole idea here is this. He's using technology and leveraging on it, okay, to make sure that the consistency of the fried rice that actually comes out of the churner is the same. Because it's mechanical, it goes through the same motion, the consistency is the same. Whereas, if you're looking at chefs, for example, different chefs frying a plate of rice will have different consistency depending on the technique, depending on the flames, the control of the flame, depending on the seasoning, right? But with this particular machine, every plate of fried rice that comes out is the same. Not similar, but the same. Now, a lot of youngsters are actually using this kind of technology, all right, in order to make their mark. Acquiring the knowledge, okay, to better your technique, for example, right, is what you're after, then do consider Trent. Thank you.
My name is Kenny. Okay, I'm the owner of Soy for Mookata. I do run a few businesses as well. So this is Alan. He's my operator and my business partner. For myself, I was in the real estate industry, and I wanted to go into F&B all this while. But I guess I didn't have the expertise.
And then, for me, basically, I've been driving that for 2.5 years. And obviously, it's not going to be a very stable job. So, when we looked up, he told me that there was this opportunity venture. Asked me whether I'm keen, and I said, okay, why not? Let's go for it.
For me, it was definitely getting the right person, to partner with. I guess good thing I found Alan.
I think basically for me it's a long hours of at the same time also the satisfaction of the weekends and also public holidays, because basically for us to operate when people are resting.
So I think for him, a lot of the hands-on part that he had to overcome. I think one of the big part of what we do in terms of the food processing, the food processors, is we do have a central kitchen. So all the food that you see right now here are all being packed at our central kitchen before it's being brought here. So that actually helps a lot in terms of the delivery, which the airline can be a lot more effective.
So basically for the food store now, I attended the food hygiene course. That preps me because it helps us to learn how to be very efficient and also be very safe and hygiene in all your food preparation. That is important. At the same time also I Google a lot to look at what other people are doing and also to just go to other stores and pick up a few tricks here and there and then we move on.
Okay, for myself, very thankful for the days when I was doing my MBA. So I guess learning to look at the business holistically or rather comprehensively has helped me understand the business a lot better, even though I'm not skilled in F&B. Yeah, but in fact we are looking at many more outlets to come.
So basically for me as the operator here, the best and most satisfying thing is when you see your customer come back and they bring friends along. And it become like a good satisfaction because they give you a thumbs up and they recognize the food. That's very important for.
I totally agree. I think the endorsement given to us by a lot of our customers tells us that we are in the right direction.
Well, I think basically they got to be mentally prepared because doing a business like this, right, there is a lot of sacrifice. For me, personally, I sacrifice my evening home, my dog. That's a big part of me. But to me, this is part and parcel of my life because this is something that we want. So we find still our own lifestyle to make it happen.
Well, I dare not say that I'm a very successful entrepreneur or businessman, but I do believe that whatever you do, once you have decided to do it, you have to put in all your effort and try in terms of resources, whether it's knowledge, skill sets, go and get it and just go for it.